Begin the current Daf Masechta Shabbos Daf Kuf Lamed. Begin the Daf Yomi. Begin the 19th paragraph of Masechta Shabbos, what's known as paragraph Rabbi Eliezer the Mila. It opens up with the word Rabbi Eliezer. That's usually the title, but they add on the word the Mila. It talks about the halachas of Bris Mila, and as it relates to the laws of Shabbos, because that was the continuation of the previous parak, which the Mishnah, the last Mishnah, spoke about. We're speaking about muktzah, spoke about animals being muktzah, and then regarding giving birth to an animal on Shabbos, which then spoke about giving birth to a woman, which then obviously if you're talking about birth, you're going to talk about Mila, which comes 8 days after that, and we said that you're allowed to do Old Tzarchei Mila on Shabbos. That continues into the halacha of this Mishnah, of this parak, regarding discussing laws of Mila on Shabbos. Asher's corresponds to Bekazich in Cheskel 2.0, Torah Anytime, Daf Chaim. Thank you everyone who's joining us for today's share. Some of the things we're going to speak on today's Daf is, again, starting this parak and performing preparatory work for a bris milah on Shabbos, if that may be done, that's machlekes, if that may be done on Shabbos. Additionally, the Gemara is going to talk about two communities who follow the unique minority opinion of their respective rabbanim, one regarding bris milah, that's Rabbi Eliezer bar Mishnah, and then eating bird's meat with milk, although generally we don't eat chicken with milk, that is actually machlekes, and actually the rewards they got for following their rabbanim. Lichabal Knafayim, which we've had previously in this Masechta, where he was Moshe Nefesh towards film, and they had a miracle that happened for him, that there was doves that were there in his hand. Moving items within a mavoi when there is no shituf in mavais, generally if one wants to carry from a chatzah to a mavoi, one has to make like it's an eruv for the mavoi. What's the halacha in the mavoi itself if there's no shituf in mavais? Some important terms and concepts we're going to speak on today's daf are chivuve mitzvah, which is that because of the endearment of the mitzvah of Mila, we actually carry the bris Mila knife out in the open, although you're not allowed to carry, but you show that it's for the mitzvah of Mila, that's Teicha Shabbos, we do it out in the open. The concept of chashada, which is sometimes when we're not allowed to, when we can't because of the government decrees not to do bris Mila, then we do it in private, but we have it with witnesses that no one should suspect that we're carrying something else. Like ksuba delay rama v'tikra. There's no ksuba, the dowry document doesn't have any dispute regarding it. And the Gemara explains the reason for that, why that is. Guf naki, that person has to have a clean body, not to sleep and not to release gas when he's wearing his tefillin. And the concept of beleza shamutihu. Beleza either means that he's put in chayr, so therefore the halach is not like him, or that he was a student of Beishamai, that's where the word shamuti is, and therefore we don't rule like him. The concept, well known as Yachad Rab, Malach Karabim, that when we have machlekes between the individual and the public, and meaning the majority, the halacha is like the majority. So we begin the current daf. Beleza the Milo, again continuation from the previous paragraph. Beleza Yomei says, "In loyhe be clean." Someone didn't bring the vessel, meaning the knife, the Mila knife, the circumcision knife to circumcise the child. May Arab Shabbos from before Shabbos, like Rashi explains, we'll go in continuation of the previous paragraph that said, "Old Tzarchei Mila allowed to do on Shabbos." So says Rabbi Eliezer, "Mevi b'Shabbos Megula." He allowed to bring the knife out in the open in front of everybody. And the Gemara is going to explain, why do you have to do it out in the open? Why can't you just do it in your pocket? Why does it have to be out in the open? Now, b'sakana, however, when it's dangerous, because the non-Jews have made a decree that one should not circumcise, mechaseyu, then you should cover it. Api edim, but through with witnesses, that they should testify, that they could say that we know what he was carrying was the Mila knife, that they shouldn't suspect him and say, oh, what's he carrying over here, like some suitcase on Shabbos. So two witnesses saw what he put into the bag, that it's a bris milah knife. Again, he can't do it out in the open because he's going to get into trouble, but you should do it with witnesses. Now, here is a machlekes. Additionally, Rabbi Eliezer says, he says, when we say you could do everything you need to do for bris milah on Shabbos, you could even be kursim eitzim. On Shabbos, you could chop wood. Last is pramen, to make coals out of the wood. Last is barzel, to make iron, to make the knife, to do the bris milah. You're allowed to do everything you want to do on Shabbos if it's with tzarchei milah. Now, however, Klal Rabbi Kiva disagrees on Rabbi Eliezer regarding what's called machshirei mitzvah, preparatory acts for a mitzvah. He holds it's not Teicha Shabbos because you could have done it from before Shabbos. Rabbi Kiva says the following rule: if it's a malacha that could have been done from before Shabbos, then in a Teicha Shabbos, then it does not override Shabbos. Now, some has the girsa umilo she'ef shlasayis erev Shabbos. If something that's not possible to be done from Erev Shabbos, like the circumcision itself, you can't do it on Friday because the 8th day is on Shabbos. That's Deiches Shabbos. When we say Tzarchei Mila, it's for the Mila itself. But to go ahead and make the knife, that could have been done from before Shabbos. That is not Deiches Shabbos. One cannot go ahead and do that because that's not included in the ribui of Shabbos being Deicha, of Mila being Deiches Shabbos. That's only the Mila itself. But preparatory acts, which are not integral for the Deicha of Shabbos, is not something that you're allowed to do if you forgot to do it from before Shabbos. Now, the Gemara has the following question. See, this that we started off by saying, time of the Rabbi Eliezer, the reason Rabbi Eliezer that he says that when you bring the knife on Shabbos, bris milah is Beicha Shabbos, you're allowed to carry in the street. He says, yes, it should be uncovered, not covered. Why did he say that? Is it mishum chibuve mitzvah? Is it because of the endearment of the mitzvah? We want people to know how much we love the mitzvah of milah, that it's deichi even Shabbos, to show how great the mitzvah is. Maybe the reason why you have to carry it in the open is that because of suspicion, that no one should suspect him that he's carrying some other object. Now, the Seif in the Mishnah that says when there's danger, you cover it with witnesses, that we know for sure that's because of suspicion. Our question is regarding the Reisha. What's the halacha when you say out in the open, when the non-Jews let us do bris milah? You have to carry out in the open. Why is that? Is it because we want to show how dear is the mitzvah? Or simply because we don't want people to suspect us that we're carrying something else? So the Gemara says, Lamai nafkamina, what's the difference, what the reason is, who cares? It's the halacha, you should do it out in the open. Says the Gemara, there is a practical halachic difference. It's la'asuye mechusa pi edim. That it's coming to tell us, the nafkamina, the difference would be, could you also bring it covered, but with witnesses? As the Gemara explains. If you say it's because we want people to know how dear is the mitzvah milah, no, then magula in. Then it specifically is that we want it to be uncovered, so that people know this, but mechusa, but if it's covered even with witnesses, let's say at a time when there's no danger, then no. Because this that you're saying, it's specifically because we want to endear the mitzvah, it's specifically that people should know about it. So it doesn't help that no one's going to suspect us because we have witnesses, but no one's going to know. We're going to publicize it so people know. Bris milah must be a huge thing. You'll not even be Deicha Shabbos. But if it's not going to be covered, then you're not going to know that. But if you say it's because of suspicion, yeah, then afilam mechusa, then even if it's covered with witnesses, shaper dummy, so then it's going to be okay, because ultimately no one's going to suspect them. So what's the halacha? So it says the Gemara Idma, where it's learned, Rabbi Levi says, Rabbi Eliezer says is that you should do it uncovered. What's for the endearment of the mitzvah? We want people to know, oh, bris milah, look, someone's carrying the street. Yeah, bris milah, oh, it's a grace mitzvah. Grace is yeah, because if it's chashada, then you could have done it with witnesses. Now, it says the Gemara Tanamach was similar in the Brisa. Mevi megula, you bring the knife out in the open. They mevi mechus, you don't bring it covered. That's different. Well, he has it. Now, Amar Vashi says masnit namadeki. He says, look, if you read the Mishnah very well, you'll find, and that's why you will find this terminology in Shas many times, masnit namadeka, because a lot of times you read the words well enough. It's a famous story with Rosh Hashiva that he was giving a shir, and someone asked him a question, and he said over the same words again, and the guy asked him a question. He said, get it. He says, if you listen to the words I'm saying, you'll understand what I'm saying. That it's not a question. So Masnit Namadeka means to say, now that you understand this, if you read the Mishnah again precisely, you'll see this idea. Because the Mishnah said, at a time of danger, then you can't take it out in the open. The non-Jews are going to prosecute you for doing a bris milah. So you cover it with witnesses testifying. Now, says the Gemara, obviously, the sakana in. A time of danger, yes, that's where you're going to go ahead and cover with witnesses. The inference is, shaloi b'sakana, loy. It's not a time of danger, then you're not going to do that. Shema mina, obviously the inference is mishum chivuv mitzvah, because we want people to know how dear is the mitzvah. Shema mina, so that's an inference in the Mishnah to answer the question itself. That b'shas sakana you're going to do that, but shaloi b'shas sakana you're not going to do it with the witnesses. You can do it out in the open. Another brisa says the same idea that mevi megula, you bring the knife uncovered. Ve'ein mevi mechus, you don't bring it covered. That's the Rabbi Eliezer. Here it's Rabbi Yehuda saying in the name of Rabbi Eliezer that their custom was that it was a time of danger. Again, the non-Jews were making these decrees against the Jews. That they brought it covered with witnesses. Now, the Mepharshim explain why couldn't we ask this on the Mishnah, but Yiboy had the following question: Aidin the Kamar, because the witnesses that they said you have to have at a time of danger so that people don't suspect them. Is it him and another person, meaning the person who's going to do the milah, he's holding the knife? Is it him and someone else? Maybe who betrayed? No, him and two witnesses, because they're suspecting him. So you need two witnesses besides him. Says what's being derived from our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says at a time of danger, you covered it with witnesses. So says the Gemara, if you say who betrayed, it's him and two other people, it makes sense. That's why you're calling them quote unquote witnesses. But if it's the guy himself and one other person, then ma'edim, what's witnesses? You can't be a witness for yourself. A person that has to have someone that's unbiased, that's a witness. Says the Gemara, no, it's not a raya. We mean to say that these two people are fit to be witnesses somewhere else. In other words, here really, there's no concept of testimony over here. It's just to exclude from suspicion. It's not like monetary law or capital punishment where you need to have two witnesses. Why are we calling it Eidim? It's just because you're revealing the intention over here. You're just uncovering the facts through two people. They would be witnesses somewhere else when one guy would not be biased. But it's enough when you could just publicize the idea with two people. It could even be him and someone else, not like a real Eidus. We're calling them Eidim because in another place there would be Eidim like two people. But really, the Gemara didn't prove that it has to be two people besides him. It could be him and another person. Now the Gemara continues. We said the first idea we said in the Mishnah was regarding bringing the knife in the open or covered. The second idea was a machlekes between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva regarding could you do hechsher mitzvah of milah on Shabbos or not. That was what we said. But Rabbi Eliezer, he says that even the preparatory acts of chopping the wood, to make the coals, to make the iron, to make the knife, even that you're allowed to do on Shabbos. So the Gemara says, on this theme of Rabbi Eliezer's opinion, in the town of Rabbi Eliezer, they would do this. They would chop wood, lasses to make charcoal, lasses barrels to make iron, b'Shabbos and Shabbos for the milah knife on Shabbos, which was his opinion. The Rav's opinion was that you could go ahead and do this on Shabbos. Similarly, in the place of Rabbi Glili, they would eat chicken and milk. As the Gemara can explain why would they do that, eating chicken and milk together. Now the Gemara brings a story actually related to this, that Levi came to the house of Yosef the hunter. They served him a head of a peacock with milk. So they didn't eat. That's basa. Now, when he came in front of the Rebbe and he told him what happened, Amalei said to him, why didn't you excommunicate? What, is he serving you basa b'chalav? How can this be? So Amalei says, it was the town of Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. The mina, and I said, Dilma Darish lo kabisa glili. Maybe he expounds the pasuk of kabisa glili. What's this? Now in the Mishnah Masechtas Chulin. Basically, he says, Nemet says in the pasuk, you shouldn't eat anything that wasn't properly slaughtered. Now, the Nemet says in that pasuk itself, don't cook a kid in its mother's milk. What does that tell us? Only the type of animal that has the prohibition of not being properly slaughtered, that's what makes it forbidden to be eaten. That's asla v'ashal b'cholav. That you can't cook in milk. Wait a second, that's not the halacha yet. Meaning that comes to exclude, let's say, fish and locusts and grasshoppers, where there's no Isser Nevela, there's no halach of shchita on fish. So they don't have a prohibition of basa b'cholav. So although that's like meat also, of a fish or a grasshopper, there's no halach of basa b'cholav because it doesn't have the Isser of Nevela. So it's not going to have the Isser of basa b'cholav. Now, but you would have thought chicken, which does have a problem, has to be shechted. It has a problem, but nevela, you would think, as actually we have the halacha, that you're not allowed to cook it with milk. Tamalema, that's what the pasuk comes to teach. Bechalev imay, in its mother's milk. Yotzaif that excludes chicken. She'en lechalev im, it doesn't have a mother's milk. Chicken doesn't nurse from its mother the way animals nurse. So therefore, he expounds basically that permitted to cook chicken with milk because it doesn't have bechalev imay. So therefore, he says I didn't excommunicate him because I thought maybe we were doing Beseira. Darshans the pasuk like basically, which says you're allowed to have chicken and milk. So you're allowed to serve a peacock head with milk. Now, the Gemara actually says the reward that these towns had for following their rabbanim, even though they were individuals in these expositions. Amr Yitzchak says, there's one city in Eretz Yisrael, they did like Rabbi Eliezer, where they would do hechsher mitzvah of milah on Shabbos. They would chop wood, timber on Shabbos afternoon, the children chopping the trees, to make coals, to make a knife, to do the milah on Shabbos. They died in their times. Again, because they followed the Rav. Not only that, one time the wicked government made a decree on the Jewish people that they should not do circumcision. And on that city, they didn't make the gzera again because of the chavivas of the mitzvah that they had, that following the Rav. Therefore, they didn't have this decree of not being able to do bris milah. Now, related to these agadic teachings regarding bris milah, Satan learned a brayso. It says, any mitzvah that the Jewish people accepted with joy could go in milah, like circumcision, like the bris milah. That says a pasuk in Tehillim. David Melch says, I rejoice over your word. Now, imrasecha is in the singular. What that means to say is there was one amira that was before all the other statements of Hashem, which, what was the first mitzvah the first Jew got? Was bris milah of Ram Avinu. which that was imrasecha, your statement, which the Jewish people do, and they rejoice over it, kamaitzi shalal rav, like finding a huge treasure chest. Now, the reason for that is because all of the mitzvahs, they don't prove every single moment that you're a Jew. Tefillin, you're wearing in the morning. Mezuzah is only when you're going to the house. Tzitzis, you don't wear when you're out in the field or when you're naked in the bathhouse. But the mitzvah of Milah testifies in the Jew at all time, like the Gemara brings in Melchizedek and Gimel Beis. David HaMelech was in the bathhouse and he was in pain. He says, "Oi, I'm naked from every mitzvah." You can't learn in the bathhouse. He didn't have anything on him. He wasn't doing any mitzvah. But when he gazed at his Milah, he was calmed down. He says, I have the mitzvah of Milah. So the mitzvah of Milah is something that the Jewish people accepted with great joy. They still do it with great joy. People make a great suda, bris milah, and therefore that's because since they accepted it with joy, they're still doing it with joy. Everyone gets very feiler, pictures, everyone's happy. That's because they accepted it with joy. Now, in contrast, any mitzvah that they accepted with them, with fighting, with dispute, the Jewish people were upset that they had this mitzvah, could go in their rayas, like forbidden relationships. Because the Chsiv, it says the pasuk in the midbar, it says, "V'yishma Moshe Sa'am." Moshe Rabbeinu heard the people. They were crying on their families. What does it mean on their families? Al iski mishpachesim, regarding the topic of their families, which their relatives had become forbidden for them to be intimate with them. They were upset about that. They still do it with disputes. Like a kisuba, there's no kisuba that doesn't have some type of dispute. The ksuba over here, that this Rav is looking at it, says, "No, it's not, I don't know." There's no ksuba that doesn't have any dispute. That's because since they originally Arayas was biktata, so it's still biktata. Similarly, Tanya learned that he says, every mitzvah that the Jewish people were meisa nefesh, they gave up their life, b'shas gezeres hamalchas, at the time of an evil decree, idolatry, the well-known, the Jewish people gave up their life not to go ahead and do idolatry, milah, and circumcision. Many stories in the Holocaust where people did to go ahead and do a bris milah. So it's still strong in the Jewish people's hands because they were meisa nefesh. But any mitzvah, Jewish people did not really give up their life at time of decrees. Could go in tefillin, like tefillin. It's still a little bit loose in their hands. Where do we see this? It says because the Amar B'Yamek says tefillin tzrichen guf naki. The tefillin need a clean body. Let's say, as we're going to shortly explain, you shouldn't release gas. Kelisha bal kanafayim, like it needs a clean body, like Elisha, the winged person. Which obviously we see that only Elisha was the one. That was only him. He's the one that keeps the mitzvah properly. A guf naki. But that tells us that everyone else did it. And additionally, we're going to see that he was the only one that was Ma'aseh Nefesh and not anyone else. So therefore, you see that if they weren't Ma'aseh Nefesh, like we see only Elisha, we're going to bring a story right now that was Ma'aseh Nefesh, then therefore we see that's why many people are shrach in the mitzvah, that they don't keep the guf naki like Elisha Bal Kanafayim, which actually Taisus brings that actually even Elisha himself was not Ma'aseh Nefesh to say that it's small. As the Gemara says, Mahi, what does it mean to have a guf naki? So Mabai says Shlo Yafich, but means that you shouldn't pass gas. Rav Amma says Shlo Yishin, but you don't sleep, you're not allowed to fall asleep with the tefillin, you're not allowed to pass gas with the tefillin. Now says Gemara, why was he called Elisha the winged one? Because one time the wicked kingdom, the Romans, that's what generally means, they made a decree on the Jewish people. Whoever puts tefillin on his head, Yikru is Moichi, they're going to go ahead and pierce his skull right by the place where you put on the tefillin. Now, Elisha put on tefillin, they went out to the marketplace. The one officer saw him, so Elisha ran away from him. They ran after him. So once the officer caught up with him, not alone, so he took it over his head and he was holding it in his hand. Somebody the officer says, "What's in your hand?" Amalai says, "What do you mean, officer? It's kamfiyain, it's wings of a dove." So Pashat as Yadai, so he stretched out his hand, and he found inside the wings of a dove. They call him the winged one, which Tais explains, obviously the miracle happened for him, obviously, that means to say that he kept the mitzvah, kalchasa, that he did have a clean body when he wore his tefillin. Now, says the Gemara, why did he specifically pick that he had the wings of a dove? He didn't say any other birds. Says the Gemara, because the Jewish people are compared to a dove. Shlomo says the pasuk in Tehillim, like the wings of a dove, that's covered in silver, and its limbs are with brilliant gold. And the pasuk there is compared to the Jewish people. Why are the Jewish people compared to the wings of a dove? Mayin is just like this dove, Kanafel Megina Saleho, its wings protected, meaning it's not like some other birds that they fight with their beak. Rather, it fights with its wings. Also to the Jewish people, mitzvahs Megina Saleho, the wings are the actions, are what makes movement. That's what the Jewish people, also the mitzvahs that they do, protect them. Therefore, he picked that as a symbol, and that was the miracle that happened for him. Again, so you see, he was the one that was careful with his body, and whereas the Jewish people were not Ma'aseh Nefesh like him, like Taisa says, even he himself was not Ma'aseh Nefesh because he didn't say it was tefillin. He says, oh, he was trying to get out of it by saying that it was the wings of a dove. But be that as it may, since they were not Ma'aseh Nefesh, therefore it's still shvach, it's still weak in their hands. Gemara continues with the halacha of our Mishnah regarding this of doing tzarchi mila on Shabbos. Amar Baba Baravada Amar Yitzchak. He says, Pamacha shaku. One time they forgot. They didn't bring the mila knife from before Shabbos to where the bris mila was going to be. So they brought it on Shabbos, but they brought it derech gagois, but derech chatzeros. They brought it through they didn't go straight through the street. They brought it through roofs and through courtyards, as you continue to base. That is, we're talking about courtyards that did not have an air one with the other. So really, there's an issur d'Rabbanan to carry from one courtyard to another. But still, since it was for the tzarchei mila, they brought the knife through the courtyards. Shaloi b'tzan Rabbi Eliezer, not according to the will of Rabbi Eliezer. Now, this statement that they brought it not according to the will of Rabbi Eliezer, the Gemara has the following question. Maskil Rabbi Yisrael, he says, wait a second. Shaloi b'tzan Rabbi Eliezer? Not according to the will of Rabbi Eliezer? I'll jump to the contrary. Rabbi Eliezer who did shari. Rabbi Eliezer was the one that says you could do old tzarchei mila and you could bring it straight through the street, that it's permitted. If you're going to say, no, we mean shaloi b'tzan Rabbi Eliezer, not according to the will of Rabbi Eliezer, because the shari fell b'shus rabbi. To the contrary, yeah, because he lets you bring it even in the street. And therefore, Ela b'tzan Rabbanan, rather, must be according to the will of the Rabbanan. The Asur derech rishus rabim, that they say, no, you can't bring it through the street. That's a malacha d'oraisa b'tzah. B'shar derech gag, it's only allowed to bring it through roofs. Derech chatzeros, through courtyards, v'kafifas, and through enclosed areas. And that says the Gemara, no, they can't be either. Mishari, do the Rabbanan who don't let you do these acts to let you bring it even through the chatzeros and kafifas? But Vatanya in the Bryce it says, "Kashem sheim mevin noisy derech rishus rabim." Just like you're not allowed to bring it through the street, kach ein mevin noisy so you're not allowed to bring it like derech gagas, like derech kafifs, like derech chatzeros. You're not allowed to bring it through the roof, through the courtyards, through the enclosed areas because you could have brought it from before Shabbos. So there's no right. The meal itself you're allowed to do, but to bring it, that's that. Forget about chopping wood, but you're not allowed to bring it even through courtyards because they don't even let you do it issur d'Rabbanan because you have no right to do that on Shabbos. So who is this like when you say it's not like Rabbi Eliezer? It's like the Rabbanan, it's not like Rabbanan either. Because for either extreme. So Elam Ravashi says, no, the way you should read the statement was, Shaloi b'tzan Rabbi Eliezer machlukusai. It wasn't like Rabbi Eliezer or his disputants. Rabbi Eliezer, it's not like him because why'd you bring it derech chatzeros? Now he's upset. You sure you should have brought it through rishus rabim. And according to them, that they would bring it through the chatzeros, they are obviously showing that they hold that mechshir mila is not derech Shabbos. So that's not like Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer was upset. The problem is, it's not like the disputants of Rabbi Eliezer either, because they say you're not allowed to bring it even through a courtyard, because the Chachamim maintain their Isra of Shabbos Rabbanan, even in the situation of a mitzvah meal like Karif. So who was it like then, that they brought it through the courtyards? Is Ela b'tzan Reb Shimon. It was according to the will of Reb Shimon, and we'll discuss this type of topic at length in the next Masechta of Eruvin, that he permits to carry in Chatzeros and Gagois and Karfifos, which are like their own domain, even for a non-dvar mitzvah, what's called a dvar rishus. Where do we find this concept? It's not like we learn the Mishnah of the Masechtas Eruvin. Shimon he says, Echad Gagos, whether we're talking about roofs, Vechad Karfifos, or whether we're talking about enclosed areas, and again, this will be a large theme of the next Masechta. But let's say, Rashi just explains, if let's say this enclosed area, imagine like a park is your classic karfif, where if let's say it's not bigger than a 2 what's called a base of sign, so then you could carry in that whole enclosed area. Problem is that it's bigger than that, and it's not enclosed for residential purposes. And it's very involved for tchumen purposes. There's a lot of tumul and lakewood in the whole area. What's considered karfif. Now, even so, it's called its own rishus regarding another karfif or possibly regarding a chatzar, where to carry, let's say, you can't carry, if it's bigger than base of sign, you can't carry more than 4 amas. We treat it like a karmelis, but you can still carry within 4 amas. Problem is, if you consider it as a different area than another karfif, you wouldn't be able to carry even 4 amas from one to the other, because it's considered its own domain. So that's what Shimon is coming to say. He says whether we're talking about roofs or enclosed areas, or ve'echet chatzeros, whether we're talking about courtyards, he holds actually kulon rishus echadein. He says they're all considered the same domain, meaning even if it's owned by different people, those courtyards, you're allowed to carry from one courtyard to another, because this said the Rabbanan, and then again, these are all rabbinic, because Midai is only Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah. The Rabbanan, they came along and they made all these Carmelists and all these different things. So that Reb Shimon holds that they only said you can't take from one domain to another domain from a house. From a house to a courtyard, that you can't do. But from a courtyard to a carfav to a roof to all these different things, those are permitted zones that you're allowed to carry from one to another. But he makes an important qualification. It's like it's only for vessels, for tools that started Shabbos inside that permitted area, or those zones of the chatzar, the gag, or the carfav. But not for vessels that start off Shabbos in the house. Because vessels that start off Shabbos in the house, and Rashi explains that not only where the people in the chutzner didn't make an eruv, that even from their house to the courtyard they can't take out their stuff. Even if they made an eruv and you're allowed to carry from your house to the courtyard, you're not allowed to take out a vessel from your house to this courtyard to the other courtyard that you did not make an eruv. So although if it was in the chutzner from when Shabbos started, you could carry from one chutzner to another even without an eruv. If you made an eruv from your house to your courtyard, and then you're carrying it from your house to the courtyard, you cannot take that vessel that started off Shabbos in your house and carry it from one courtyard to another courtyard. So therefore, again, we're saying that the halacha was like B'ritzon Reb Shimon. Why B'ritzon Reb Shimon? Because he holds, yes, you could carry derech gagas, derech hafifas, derech hatzeros on Shabbos, even for a non-mitzvah purpose, as long as, if it was a regular thing, that the milah knife was inside, and then you could carry through that area. That was B'ritzon Reb Shimon, because he holds if it started with Shabbos over there, you're allowed to carry from one chatzar to another chatzar. Now, similar, the Gemara brings Boim and Reb Zeir and Reb Asi. He had the following question: Mavli shaloi nishtat for boy. If you have a mavli that they did not make a joint mavli, an eruv of chatzeros means to say in Talmudic times their homes would open up into a common courtyard, and then many of those courtyards open up into a mavli, and many of those mavlis open up into the Rosh Hashanah. So an eruv of chatzeros of the mavli is called shitufim mavlis. All the mavlis in that area join together into that mavli, which would make it into one common area, and then everyone could carry over there. So you didn't make a shitufim mavlis. Question is, Ma'alo Talta, what's halacha to carry inside that mavli, b'kulei in that whole mavli, for vessels that start off Shabbos in that mavli? Meaning, to carry out from the chatzar into the mavli, obviously it's forbidden because they didn't do shitufim mavlis. And so too, from the mavli to the chatzar. Our question is, but could you carry the mavli itself? What's the question? The Gemara explains. Me and Rina, do we say kachatzer dami? It's like the chatzar, ma chatzar, just like a courtyard. We just explained, like let's say in Reb Shimon's opinion. Even though that all the houses in the courtyard did not join together, and you're not allowed to carry from the houses to the courtyard, from the courtyard to the houses. But we said mutal talta b'kulai, but you're allowed to carry in the courtyard itself what's found over there, or like Rashi explains. Let's say you were wearing something that you were able to carry, obviously from a house. Through, as you're wearing it, you're allowed to take it off and carry in the whole chutz according to everyone, because Rashi explains, as we'll see this in the Masechtas Erev and Perkol Gagas, there's a three-way machlekes in regards to this chatzeres gagas kafifas area. According to Reb Meir, roofs are their own area, and you're allowed to carry from one roof to another one, even if it's from different houses. But chatzeres are their own area, to carry from one chatzah to another one without an eruv for vessels that start off Shabbos in that chatzah, but not from a roof to a courtyard. And also kafifas, enclosed areas, imagine like a park, are also their own areas. According to the Chachamim, roofs and courtyards are one domain, and kafifas are their own domain. According to Shimon, who quoted before, he says, no, they're all three one domain, except for houses. Even if there's no eruv, you can carry from chatzah to gag to kafifas, you can have this whole trip that you're making on Shabbos that you go and carry. But again, according to everyone, in a chatzah that you didn't make an eruv, you're allowed to carry from one chatzah to another if it's something that started off Shabbos in the chatzah. So wait, maybe Hainami, maybe here also by the Mavli, which is one step bigger, here also, but even though they didn't do a joint eruv to join the Chatzeris in the Mavli, but Mutal Tabukah, we could carry in the Mavli itself, not from the Chatzah to the Mavli, but in the Mavli itself. Or maybe no, you can't compare a Mavli to a Chatzah for two reasons. The Chatzah is like Dal Mechitzes. A courtyard has four walls. Less like Dal Mechitzes. This doesn't have four walls. A Mavli is not contained in the enclosed area. Or another difference is chatzos l'diyurin. A courtyard has dwellers. In other words, it's made to constantly use that common area. Less l'diyurin. A mavli doesn't have dwellers. In other words, houses don't open up into the mavli. Houses open up to the courtyard to the mavli. Maybe that would be different. Maybe you would not be able to carry if you did not make a shituf of advice to carry in the mavli. So it says the Gemara, so he was silent. this Rabasi, and he didn't respond to Reb Zeir at all. He didn't give him an answer. Now the Gemara tells us that Zimnin, a different time, Ashkechei Reb Zeir encountered Rabasi. The Yosef Bakama, he was sitting, he was giving a drash, he was giving a shiur. And he said, he says, Pamacha Shachu, one time they forgot. They didn't bring the knife from before Shabbos. This same case. They viewed Shabbos and they brought on Shabbos. And the sages found this difficult. How were they leaving the words of the sages? Meaning, to bring the knife. Why are you doing like Rabbi Eliezer? Why? What's the problem? First of all, Rabbi Eliezer Shamuti, which either that means to say that they had excommunicated him, as the Gemara says in Bam Mitzvah of New Testament Beis, or the Yerushalmi says Shamuti is because he was a student of Shammai, which that's what the word Shamuti is. So why are you ruling like Rabbi Eliezer to do Hechsher Mitzvah of Milan Shabbos? Very moreover, second problem is Yachab Ram Malach Karabim. We know when there's a machlekes, an individual opinion and the majority opinion, you rule like the majority. And this is only Rabbi Eliezer's Das Yachad that you can do Hechsher Mitzvah Milan Shabbos. Oh, on that, Reb Asi was quoting in his shiur. He says, oh, you know what? Amr Abisha said to those who had the difficulty, when they heard the story of this halacha, that they brought it on Shabbos through the street, how can you do Rabbi Eliezer? He says, no, Sheilis is Rabbi Yehuda Goiz. He says, I asked Rabbi Yehuda, the Mayel, Goiz is from cutting, he would circumcise the children. Vamali said to me, no, you don't get the story. The story was, Mavi Shalom Nishtatva B'Hava. They carried it through a Mavi that didn't have a Shetuf from a Vayis. Vaisu Mahayresh Lahayresh, and they brought it from one end to the other end, which is Machlekes Rashi and Taisus, but the child was in one end of the Mavi, and the knife was on the other end of the Mavi, in the same Mavi, and that's where they brought it from one end of the Mavi to the other one. That was the end of the statement of Rashi. He said it wasn't through the street. It was through the Mavi that didn't have Shetuf from a Vayis. Now, Amalei, when Reb Zeir heard Rabasi giving the shiur, he said to him, wait a second. Obviously, you the master from the fact that you're saying this in your shiur, and you had no problem with the story. Obviously, you hold Mavishul and Nishtatvoy, but it's a Mavi that did not have a joint Mavi. Mutal Tatabakuli, you're allowed to carry inside the whole Mavi. That's how you're explaining why it wasn't like Rabbi Eliezer. You were quoting from Rabbi Isha that it's like the Chachamim, even though they hold you cannot carry in a forbidden area, even a rabbinic area, because you can't do Hechsher Mitzvah of Milah to bring the knife on Shabbos. You said, oh, don't worry. It was a Mavi Shalom Nishtatva boy, and that was the Chiddush in Halacha, but obviously you're allowed to carry over there. Is that how you hold? Amalei says, yes. But was in the Boim, a previous time I had asked of you, you didn't tell me this. Dilma Agav Shitvach, Rohit Lach Gemach. Maybe when you're running through this sugi now and repeating over this teaching of Rabbi Shlokish, maybe with that you came to that awareness of the teaching of Rabbi Ishia that you said together with that, which told you that that's the permitted way of through a Mavish Lenishtatzvot. That Amalei in, he says, yes, Agav Shitfarita Ligamri. He says, I was able to get this when I was reviewing the learning, I was saying over the shiur. Now I chap, you're right, that's what the teaching is, that you're allowed to carry. And in a Mavi, Lenishtatzvot boy, that's how they did, that's how they brought the knife, because you're allowed to carry. And that answers the question that he had asked him, are you allowed to carry a Mavish and Shatri? He said, maybe it's different than Chatzar, maybe not. So he's saying it's just like Chatzar, even if you did not make a Shatuf from a Vayis, you're allowed to carry from one end of the Mavi to the other end of the Mavi. Now, Itmar we learned, but Amr Reb Zeir, Amr Rav. The previous teaching was Reb Zeir with Rabasi. Here Reb Zeir says the name of Rav, what seems to be actually not like what Rabasi had just said. Mavish l'nishtata boy, a Mavi that did not have any joint, all the Chatzis did not join together to carry in this Mavi, but we're talking about, so you can't carry from the Chatzis to the Mavi, but we're talking about the Mavi itself. Aim boy, not allowed to carry in the Mavi, only Dalar Amos, which means that you're not allowed to carry from one end to the other. Now, Amabai says, Hamilsa Amr Reb Zeir, this teaching of Zeir said, but B'lei Pirshi did not explain when this is permitted, when this is forbidden. As actually we just quoted before, Reb Zeir, who says from Abasi, that you're allowed to carry in the whole Mavi. So he says, Ada Asar Rabbi Baravu Pirshi, until Rabbi Baravu came and he explained. He says it like this. It actually depends. Amr Nachman Rabbi Baravu, Amr Rav, he says, Mavi Shlin Nishtatva boy. If you have a Mavi that did not make Shatuf from a Vayis inside of it, so it depends. If the courtyards in the Mavi went and joined together in Batim, with the houses with their own houses, meaning the people in the houses, they could carry into their courtyards, because the houses that they open up into the courtyards made an Eruv Chatzeris together. And so to all the other courtyards, they made in their own courtyards, they made an Eruv Chatzeris, but the people in the courtyards did not make joining together to make a Shetuf from a Vayis, so then in Metal Mabai. Then you're not allowed to carry in that Mavi, even for vessels that start off Shabbos in the Mavi, you're limited to Dal Amos. But, we'll explain in a second why this would be like this, but if let's say, the smaller area, the houses did not make a Eruv Chatzeris with their courtyards, which now the people in the house are not allowed to carry from their houses to the courtyards, then Mutal Talta Makule, then actually allowed to carry now in the whole Mavai for the vessels that start of Shabbos in the Mavai. The Gemara is explaining why would that be? Why would that be the Mavai? Again, it's just getting the picture. We'll do this in Eruvin a lot, but the people's houses open up, let's say, into a common courtyard. And then many common courtyards open up into the Mavai, and many Mavais open to Rishus Rabbim. Why would it be that the Mavai, which we made new Shetuvim Mavais, be dependent if they made a Eruv Chatzeris or not? Either they could carry into the Chatzah, they can't. We're not talking about their carrying the Chatzah. We're talking about the Chatzeris. We're not talking about Chatzeris carrying to Mavai, because you didn't make Shetuvim Mavais. We're talking about, could you carry the Mavai? So that's what the Gemara discusses right now. Amal Reb Chanin Chayzol Rabbi says, Maishna, what's the difference? Ki Eruv Chatzeris and Batim, when the courtyards made their own Eruv Chatzeris with their houses, that then you're telling me that you're not allowed to carry in the Mavai itself. Why? So he's presuming it's for the following svar. Because the Nitku Chatzeris, the Nasubat, he says, the courtyards stopped being courtyards and they became houses. What does that mean? Why are the courtyards not courtyards? They're houses. Because they're nullified, they're secondary to the houses. Meaning, we're not going to call it a chutzner anymore. Because, look, everyone's carrying over here, you only allowed to carry in your house, not allowed to carry out in the public area. It's not like a courtyard anymore, it's like a house. Because everyone's joined together like it's a one house. That's what the Gemara's svar is to say. Obviously, that's what you're trying to say. And therefore, so why does that make it a problem? So why can't you carry in the Mavai anymore? Because the courtyards are houses. He says, I'll tell you why. Because Rav Tameh, this teaching was Rav. Rav goes according to his explanation. Rav, he says, "Ina Mavai nitu b'lecha b'kayr." A Mavai is that by the coldness, that open area that opens up to Rishus Rabbim, it does not become permitted with a side post and a crossbeam, which again is going to be the topic of the next Masechta of Eruvin, which to make we know you have to see Eruvin, you have the crossbeams and the side post. Actually, until it's going to be as it continues to have a Koflam and Alpha and Aleph, Batim Vichatzeris Pesuchim L'Teichon. It has to have houses and courtyards open to it. In other words, you have to have a minimum of 2 houses opening up into each of into the 2 courtyards, 2 houses for every courtyard, and 2 courtyards open up to the Mavai. Over here, it's an interesting svar that he's saying. There's only houses, no courtyards. What do you mean no courtyards? So interesting, like a lamdisha. No, there's not a courtyard. It's a house. It has to have houses open to the courtyard into the Mavai, and then it's a Mavai to permit carrying in the Mavai, which have a lechi, a kair, or when you didn't do a shituf Mavai, to be able to carry, and you can't carry because it's not a Mavai in that qualification to be like a Mavai. Says the Gemara, wait a second, but in Kila Erev and Nami said, what are you talking about? Then even when they didn't do an Erev, which you said if the people in the house did not make Erev Chatzeris, then you said you could carry in the Mavai that you didn't do shituf Mavai. Then listen to this lamdas. Look at the houses as if they're closed up, because in relation, in relativity to the Mavai, it's like the houses are closed up. Why? Because the courtyards are interposing between them, because you cannot carry out from the house to the courtyard because they didn't do Rebbe Chatzeris. So it's like there's no houses. So by Chatzeris, it's like you have courtyards, no houses, because the houses are like non-existent. Again, a Mavai is the area that you're allowed to carry with a lech in the kaira if you have the way houses open up to courtyards opening up to the Mavai, and then the Mavai is functioning in its regular capacity as a Mavai. You're telling me in the first case that you can't carry because there's no Chatzeris, but this other case, there's no bottom, because the bottom are like closed off. They can't get into the Mavai. So says he, well, no, no, what you could do is you could actually, the people, the houses of the courtyard, could be mevatel, reshus to the kulu. Everyone could nullify their rights in the courtyard. The gabichad to one person. Again, this is going to be another theme in the Masechta Eruvin. The chutzner is all that one person's, and he could carry out from his house to the courtyard because it's all his. And so you have a house, you have his house. His house is existent in the courtyard. It is in some level Eruv Chatzeris. But here we're talking about Eruv Chatzeris, everyone's house could be carried out from. Here, this way, only this guy could carry out to the mevatel the reshus. I have no rights. Everyone in the courtyard says we have no rights. You're the only one that has rights.
But the bittul has to be Erev Shabbos?
No. It could be even on Shabbos, but that's going to be on the, yeah.
It's not considered a shtikl tikkun?
So that's going to be in the, it's a machlekes brought in the Masechta Eruvin. So, but the point is, but even if it's before Shabbos, we can invatel our reshus to one guy. He could carry from his house to the courtyard and from the courtyard to the Mavai. So it's not like it's closed off. Says, yeah, but so at the end of the day, bayisik, you only have one house in the whole courtyard. Batim lek, you're not going to have houses. Rav requires 2 houses for every courtyard. Says, okay. Which someone just brought up right now, After the mitzafra v'apal gadiyam, I can tell you from the morning till noon, l'gabichad, nullify everyone's rights in the courtyard to one guy. Mipal gadiyam l'pandi l'gabichad. From noon until the evening, you nullify to someone else. Which that's what Rav holds in the Masechtas Eruvin, that you can mevatel and chayz mevatel. So the morning nullify to one guy, and afternoon to another guy. So you're going to have two houses that have rights in this mother. So it's like, yeah, but at the end of the day, in the Isla High, when this guy has his house, less light, you don't have this guy's house. You're never going to have at one point two houses for the courtyard. So Rav Ashi the Gemara concludes like this. He says, no, the reason is not because this lumdisha explanation we were saying that you need to have house and courtyards opening up into the mother. No. Rav holds whether you made an Eber Chatzeres or you didn't make an Eber Chatzeres, since the houses open up into the Mavli and two houses open up to the Chatzar, it has the status of a Mavli to be permitted with Lechad B'Kair. Here the reason is when you made a Eber Chatzeres and you did not make Shetuf and Mavli, so you're now carrying the Mavli, but if you didn't make an Eber, it's permitted, is because Mi Garm L'Chatzeres She'asu. What causes that the courtyards are forbidding the Mavli, why do you need to make a Shetuf and Mavli? Is to be able to carry from the courtyards into the Mavli. What makes it forbidden to carry from the Chatzeres to the Mavli? Really, Chatzeres to the Mavli really could carry. They consider the same type of area. Why can't you carry from the Chatzeres to the Mavli? Are the batim, are the houses that cause it? Because if not for the houses, Chatzer Mavli one Rishus. Because Rav is saying this teaching, and Rav holds a Reb Shimon that says in Eruvin of Tzadik Alvin Aveis that Gagis, as we said this before, Chatzeres and Kafifas and the Mavli, they're all one Rishus. You're allowed to carry from one to the other. And Rav says Allah is like Reb Shimon. But, so therefore, when you didn't make an Erev, the house with the courtyards, you don't have the vessels of the house in the courtyard. So therefore, regarding carrying the Mavli, if you didn't make a Erev Chatzeres to the houses, you're allowed to carry in the Mavli. It's like you made a Shetuf and Mavli, because what causes the Mavli to be forbidden and to require Shetuf and Mavli are the houses, because you're carrying from the houses to the courtyard. Now you have vessels from the house in the courtyard. Oh, that's a problem, because you cannot carry, that you were able to carry because you had a Erev Chatzeres, but you can't carry those vessels to the Mavli. That's what makes it forbidden. But Baleka, here you don't have it because you didn't make a Rubi Chatzeres. So then you're allowed to carry from the Chatzar to the Mavli. It's like as if you made a Shetuf and Mavli, and therefore that's why we know when you make Shetuf and Mavli, obviously you're allowed to carry in the whole Mavli, and that's what we're saying you're allowed to carry in the whole Mavli. The Mavli, if you're allowed to carry in the whole Mavli, comes down to if you made a Rubi Chatzeres or not. So we didn't understand why would that be. I'll tell you, says the Gemara, because if you made a Rubi Chatzeres, you're going to have vessels from the house, from the courtyard. Those you can't carry into the Mavli because you didn't make Shetuf and Mavli. If you didn't make a Rubi Chatzeres, no one's carrying from the house to the courtyard. A Chatzar Gagas Kafif is all one area. You're allowed to carry from the Chatzar to the Mavli. And then you're allowed to carry in the whole Mavli. It's like Shetuf and Mavli was done. That's why there's a difference between, as we're saying, it's going like Reb Shimon. That's what Rav's going like. And that's why it's going to make a difference if they made a Rubi Chatzeres or not. Some of the things we spoke about in today's Daf, in the Shabbos Daf, Kuf Lamed, was we started the new parak, Perek Lezer, the Mila, the 19th parak in Masechtas Shabbos, that if you didn't bring a vessel, the night from before Shabbos, so Rabbi Eliezer says you bring it out in the open. And why the Gemara ultimately explains? Because Chibur Mitzvah, we want people to know how dear is the mitzvah of Mila. Now, at times of danger, then you cover it with witnesses because of suspicion. We want people to suspect what are you carrying. And the Gemara says maybe it's possible it means him and another person. Edom doesn't mean testimony. It's not like Dinim Mam Din the Fashit. And we had a machlekes, if that was the machlekes in the Mishnah, our Hechsher Mila, Deiche Shabbos, Rabbi Eliezer the Mila, he's the one that holds you're allowed to do Hechsher Mitzvah. He said you can even chop wood and all these things. Kiva says no, you can't bring the knife. Why are you bringing the knife? You could have done that in Erev Shabbos. Hechsher Mitzvah is not even Deiche, even the Dirabban, as the Gemara explained. Now, in the place of Rabbi Eliezer, they would chop wood on Shabbos to go ahead and make the Mila knife. And Rabbi Yisrael, they would eat chicken with milk. And the reason is because it says b'chalev imay, which chicken does not have chalev imay, and we see the great reward that they had for following their Rav in their opinion. We said any mitzvah Jewish people accepted with joy, like Mila, Sasa, Neichel, Imer, Secha, K'moitzi, Shal, Rav, they're still doing with joy. People still do great simchas of the bris Mila. Anything that was biktata, like Arayas, they're still complaining about, and they're still not finding it easy. Like we said, there's no ksuba, it doesn't have any tigger, it doesn't have a dispute. Anything that do with Moisen Nefesh, like Avodah Zarah, Mila, they're still strong holding to that. Anything that would not Moisen Nefesh, like Tefillin, like we find only Elisha Bak Kanafayim that was Moisen Nefesh, so too we still find that it's still shvach. People are not able to keep the guf naki. It's only Elisha Bak Kanafayim. People they doze off with the tefillin, they pass gas. That's they're not careful because they were not Moisen Nefesh. I mean, we had the Gemara a story with a knife that they specifically brought it on Shabbos through the roofs and through the courtyards, which the Gemara says Shalei B'Tzayin Eliezer, which the Gemara ultimately added on the Umach L'Kusei. It's not like Eliezer or his disputants. It's not like Rabbi Eliezer because he was upset. He says, why are you bringing the Chatzeres of Kafif? Obviously, you hold the Machshir Mila is not Deiche Shabbos. Why are you bringing it through that? It's not true. You're allowed to even bring it in the Rishos Rabbah. And it's not like his disputants either because they hold, no, you can't bring the Chatzeres because even this Rabbanan they hold is going to be Aser. because you have no right to do Hechsher Milah on Shabbos. So who was it like? It was like Rabbi Shimon. Because Rabbi Shimon holds, yes, if it started of Shabbos inside the Mavoi, even for Dvar Rishus, you're allowed to carry Derech Gagas, Derech Chatzis, but Kavivis, he holds it's all one domain, one area. Now we had a similar discussion regarding a Mavoi, which that was the last sugya in the Gemara. They did not do Shittim Mavais. Are you allowed to go ahead and carry in that Mavoi? So he says, but that specifically, if they didn't make an Eruv from the houses to the courtyards. Now the problem with that halacha is that, what do you mean? But we had another halacha that said you're only allowed to carry within Daled Amos. So he said, oh, over there is talking about where they did make Eruv Chatzis. So the Gemara says, well, why would that be? Why would it make a difference if it made Eruv Chatzis or not? You can't say this Lamdish thing because it's like the Chatziris are closed off and it's like becomes like Batim. Because if that would be the case, then even when they didn't make an Eruv Chatziris, then you should say like it's like the houses are closed off and you don't have two courtyards and two houses at the same time. So the Gemara ultimately concluded, says no. What caused the Chatziris to make the Mavoi forbidden? It's the Batim. Because you're going to have the vessels from the house that go into the Chatzir, and you're not going to have that. So if it's permitted by the Mavoi that they did not make a Shituv, specifically when they did not make an Eruv of the house or the courtyards, because you're not going to have people's stuff from their house into the courtyard, because we're going like Reb Shimon, who, that was the opinion recorded before, they considered all that one domain. You're allowed to carry from Chatzis to Kafifas, even if there was no Shituv Mavais. The whole problem is you're not carrying from the houses to these other domains. So when you didn't do Eruv Chatzeres, that's okay. You're not going to bring from the house to the courtyard. You'll be able to carry from the house, from the courtyard to the Mavoi. That's going to be like as if you made Shaduvim Mavois, and you could carry the whole Mavoi. But when you made Eruv Chatzeres, then actually you can only carry within Daled Amos, because then you can have from the house in the courtyard, and you might come to bring from the courtyard because you're carrying through the Mavoi. You might carry from the Chatzis to the Mavoi too, and that's forbidden because you can be carrying from the house, which is problematic, and therefore that's when you can only carry within Daled Amos. Thank you for any time for hosting us.